of you, imaginary crowd. We have been going on a journey. We are 8 episodes deep now into the architecture of advantage. And the premise of this series is that advantage, sometimes you are born with it, but sometimes you can create it for yourselves. 90% of people watching did not have it growing up. 90% of those watching are reparenting themselves in adulthood, all right? And this has been a practical series. There's nothing motivational about what I do. I don't bring you on nice to make you happy. It's not what I do. Those who do it, kudos to them. It's not what we do here. Here we teach things, all right? And because we teach things that can be hard for the world to assimilate, you will not find our teachings in the public domain. The only place in the world you would get this quality of teaching is here, live, on Night School. And one of the things that makes this understandable is we've been teaching from episode 1 up to this episode 8 in the series, precept upon precept, letting you understand the game of life that we're playing, right? We gave you some movies to watch, some paradigms, some stories, allegories, metaphors, understanding that the game of life is a competitive sport. It is a competitive sport. However, some people don't know that it's a competitive sport, right? And it's in the interest of the game that you do not know it's a competitive sport. And that is why a lot of times you suffer, because you are losing at a game that you do not know you are playing. You're losing at a game that you don't know you're playing. And so if you want to wax biblical, where it says, my people perish for lack of what? For lack of church going? Hell no. For lack of praying and fasting? No, that's not why you're suffering. You are suffering for lack of knowledge. Knowledge is power. Specific kinds of knowledge. Not all knowledge is power. Specific kinds of knowledge can be applied towards power. And that is knowledge of the game that you're playing. The rules of that game that you're playing. Understanding that some players in this game are playing the game with better controllers. Some of you that play video games, I used to play a lot of video games when I was a kid. Today, once in a while, I still indulge, right? Those of you who understand video games, if you go back in memory to like maybe secondary school days when you and your friends would play competitive games, like whether it was a combat game, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, or it was sports like FIFA, right? There's a prank that most guys here, would have at least you played it once in your life, or it hasn't played on you once in your life. The guys here that play video games, you would have either played it on somebody or they played it on you. And what is that game? When you and your friend are about to play a game, right? A video game, right? And you know that your friend is more skillful than you at the game. Can you type in the comments, right? Tell me what's the first mischievous thing that occurs to you to do. Let me see if we all had similar childhoods. Tell me what's the first thing that occurs to you to do. I like getting someone said the part no good. Yeah, I like getting people to comment their experiences so that those who didn't have the experience can see that look, this thing was widely dispersed, right? So tell me guys, what's the someone Joseph said distracted looks okay. That means you're a very good guy. That's not a prank. Okay, see, somebody said, okay, some of you are really good children when you were growing up. From your answer, someone says, get the better controller. That is a good answer, but that means we're not very mischievous. You're a good guy that was just trying to get an edge in the game. But that's okay. Abraham said, give him the faulty part. Good, that's a very good answer. But it means we're not a very bad boy. And that's good, okay? But the really bad children, I'm waiting for your answers. Someone says sabotage the controller. You are correct. But this is not what the very mischievous children did. This is the answer here. This is the correct answer. He knows what we're talking about. Unplug his pad. Right? This is the only naughty child in the comment section today. Favor was correct as well. Favor James, disconnect his pad and you will not know. Right? Correct. See, everybody, you are correct. You're not wrong. Someone said cheat code. Yes, it's true. Some people use cheat code, right? Aggie said, end the game abruptly. Some people will do that, yes. But at least if you end the game abruptly, your opponent knows what you did. This one about unplugging his controllers is a very wicked thing to do. It's so mischievous because when let me explain it, right? Let me explain. Where is this guy's comment? Then put it back up, right? So let me explain what happened for those who are not real gamers. When both of you are about to start the game and you just quietly unplug the pad and start playing, he'll be holding the pad, but he doesn't know that the pad is Nigerians like to call it pad, right? But generally it's called a controller, right? But in Nigeria you say pad, controller, don't mean the same thing, right? So when you disconnect his pad from the game, he's still holding it. He doesn't know it's been disconnected. So he'll be pressing all the buttons, you'll be beating him because you're holding the only controller that's connected to the game. So you'll be winning, beating him, and he's better than you. He doesn't understand why he's losing, right? You'll be pushing the buttons. He'll be trying to be like, it's not natural. This guy's less skillful than me. Why? You'll take him a while. You would have scored him like you say, soccer game, it's FIFA or something. You would have scored like 2-3 goals. So he clocks it that, he sabotaged me. He unplugged my pads. And then for it, and now plug it back in. By then you're like 2 or 3 goals down, right? So that's it. So you were all correct, right? Giving him the unfortunate. William Caro said, giving the unfortunate pad. You are correct, but you are all very good children because these are pranks that are still forgivable. The most unforgivable prank is the one I just described here, where you just unplug your pad and you don't know, but you're holding it and you are really, you believe everything. Maybe even got your own pad, but it's disconnected. The pad is good. It's good. And you're pressing it. You really think you're doing something, but you don't know. They've unplugged it. So you're playing without, you're playing without really being connected, and that is a metaphor for how the game of life plays out sometimes, right? My people perish for lack of knowledge. It's a game, and some people will intentionally disconnect your pad. Can somebody please just write it down in your notes somewhere to remind me about this thing people call energy vampirism and destiny switching. I'll just touch on it briefly if I have time. It's not necessarily part of what I want to talk about today, but if at the end, we usually do service after service, do extracurricular conversations at the very end. If I have time, I would. If that's part of the, maybe house fellowship, the service after service, I'll just mention a few things about that. Remind me, things I said, energy vampirism. People misunderstand the term energy vampire. They say generally, you don't really understand what energy vampire means. I will help you understand it if we have time. It's not the main thing, but just came to just write down somewhere at the end. So some people play the game with sabotage controllers and they don't know. And it is in the interest of your opponent, the other player, to ensure that he wins. And you have to understand, especially, listen, I'm speaking especially because I know my constituency. No matter how much I try to dodge it or to hide from you people or to push you people to the side, no matter how much I try to dodge it, most of my constituency comes from church people. You are the people that just keep on following. Yeah, so a lot of how I prepare what I'm saying, I'm thinking of how you people think because I was a product of that environment as well. So I know how you think. I know your strengths where they exist, and I especially know your weaknesses, right? And so I also know the roots of your weaknesses. A lot of your weaknesses are philosophical. Okay, when Jesus said, be as harmless as doves, but cunning as serpents. I know where you were sabotaged. It was right there in your indoctrination in your churches, where they gave you the half part of what Jesus Christ commanded and left the other part that they were afraid of out of it. They gave you, they enforced innocence as doves. But like I always tell you guys, it is perilously incomplete. I'm not saying it's incomplete. Understand? Negative. That's people for me to listen. Yeah? Negative. I'm not saying it is incomplete. No. My choice of words is very deliberate. It's very intentional. I said it is perilously. What does perilously mean? Dangerously. Fatally. It means that you're not just incomplete as in, oh, at least I have half, glass half full. No, it means that if you don't have the second part of that equation, you can die. That's what I mean by perilously incomplete. All right? When you have the innocence of a dove, but you don't have the cunning of the serpent, you are as good as dead. You are food for the other participants of the game. It's better you were not even taught the innocence of a dove in the first place. Let everybody be fighting on a level playing ground. But it made you innocent, made you naive, made you foolish. The other part now, there's no cunning. So they groom you for the safe environment of the church, which is generally safe, without telling you that, like Jesus said, I'm sending you out as sheep amongst what? Wolves. You are going out to meet wolves. They don't warn you that you are going out amongst wolves. So you go out there expecting to meet people that you left in your home church. Nah, them niggas are trying to eat you for dinner. It is their destiny to use you and abuse you in order to get ahead if they can. And you have nothing in your knowledge bank, in your wisdom bank, no defenses against the people of this world. And that's why you're suffering a lot of times. You know, I remember when I first started doing night school, a lot of y'all were at first very, you were very shocked at the things that I used to say. You were like, I said, yeah, don't worry, I know where you're coming from. Yeah, they've touched your brain in a way that you will just be totally harmless and foolish. You're a very foolish Christian. That's what they made you. Very foolish. Very effective inside that inside that bubble of the church. That is, you can do the inside that church, you can do the sweat and spitting everywhere. Nobody understand what you're saying. But once they put you out there in the world, they just eat you for dinner. Ask anybody that's in this, even in the spiritual community, when we talk about spirituality. Ask, don't let this I'm attacking the church. They look at Christians as the babies when it comes to spirituality. Christians are the babies, they're the children. Yeah, they're like the sheep. They don't know anything. They look at you as anytime they don't just chop like low hanging fruit. They look for Christians, but they were not given cunning of the serpents. In which church preaches it? Maybe today one or two are starting to do it. One or two, and even at that, there's a limit to what they say because the bastards in the world will start shouting and small thing that's they will now say, making them trend. I don't give any examples, but that's the premise of the architecture of advantage, and that is why we teach what we teach. Anyway, last week I was talking about people being so simple-minded, and I mentioned I wanted to share a clip with you, but I didn't have the clip ready. So between last week and now, I went to get the clip, and I'll play the clip for you. But again, I don't assume that everybody here today was around last week, so I'll just do a little bit of a primer or a recap. So I was talking about how you cannot afford to be naive at the way the world works. All right, you are so prepared for this kingdom of God, which you've told you, the kingdom. What exactly is this kingdom? It's so vague, but again, you guys are not taught to ask questions and to really think critically. But yeah, figure out that kingdom stuff. Meanwhile, the kingdom of man, where you actually exist, you don't know anything about his rules, right? And so last week we talked a lot about how the kingdom of man operates, and one specific thing I think you guys were really excited about last week was status indicators, and how you cannot afford to be simple-minded, right? Like King Solomon says, the foolish man believes everything he is told, or some versions say the simple-minded. It's simple. Your mind is so simple. You need a level of sophistication to engage with the game of life. When I say sophistication, I mean all-round sophistication of mind, of intellect, of wit, of cunning, right? And so I talked about how you qualify yourself. There are two ways. One thing I said was you got to build credibility. So I gave you guys like an average of a 5-year time frame. I said if I were to introduce you, not me, but if you were to attend a high-level event, where in attendance were presidents, Nobel Prize winners, governors, senators, captains of industry, real captains of industry, right? And people who are movers and shakers of the world, Hollywood executives, entertainment, record label execs, and you were invited to such a gathering, right? And you were to be asked to introduce yourself casually at a cocktail. Like, so what do? How would you like to introduce yourself? I didn't say how would you introduce yourself because, again, you probably hadn't received that lesson yet on how to, but how would you prefer to? And that question is very telling because it's not me saying to you now, it's just you revealing to yourself that perhaps you were tricked into taking the wrong path in life. Right? And that's part of the game. Your controller was disconnected at some point, and you thought you were doing something. And so because, first of all, you started out life thrown into survival mode, most of your parents did not have, maybe they were either poor, or they were comfortable, but they were not sophisticated up here enough to see the game, because half of the battle is seeing the game. Most people cannot see the game, all right? So maybe your parents were not sophisticated enough to see the game and then guide you, all right? Most of it's not your fault. You need to to yourself. Like, I'm not blaming you for any of those things. Nobody could choose how they were born, the family they were born into, and all of that stuff, okay? But still, consequently, that kind of upbringing naturally gave you your model of the world. It gave you your worldview, all right? And between those ages of 0 to 7, that's where the most critical programming is done. So everything about what you consider to be valuable, what you think a career is, the path you should take in life, the schools, like everything that formed your taste in life was formed at that age and indoctrinated. It was put into you by your parents and the environment that they put you in. Right? And I remember I sent this thing to the WhatsApp channel at one point. I said that no matter how good you are as a parent, your parenting skills will never supersede the power of environment. So if you do all the parenting and all of that, and you put that child in a place where Ijaguda children are attending, your child will be a product of that environment. So putting your child in a school that has the values you want them to adopt is not money misroad. Now only poor man they talk that kind of things. Only poor people, because like I explained what sour grapes are to you. Sour grapes, when poor people can't afford something, it feels sorrowful that they're unable to attain that thing. And the thought of their limitation is so painful that they would rather seek a diversion to that pain. And they create a delusion in their mind and try their best to support that delusion. The delusion is often that thing that they just wanted a few minutes ago is actually not that good. I could have done it, but it's not that good. Like when you toast two men and she no great for you. I beg you should never find Steph. Yeah, we call that sour grapes. It comes from, I think, one of Aesop's fables when a fox was hungry and it saw a grape tree, but the grapes were looking so delicious, but they were really high. so high that it couldn't reach them. And so he said, I'm sure those grapes are even sour, just to justify the truth, the real truth, that you just can't reach it. Not that it's not sour, it's delicious, you just can't reach it. So what poor people tend to do a lot of times is that they just throw stones at those things. They say, instead of going to send your child abroad for studies, put them in Nigeria so that, nah, first of all, you're too broke to advise me. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you. Listen, sometimes, yeah, some of you come across some of the things that I say, and I come across as elitist. I make no apologies for that. I don't give two F's about it, all right? And it is just a testament as to how my tastes have been formed so deliberately and cast in stone, such that I have a strong discrimination between what my tastes are and what I can never touch. A lot of you that come from the lower classes, we're not given that. Anyway, now way, any food, now food, right? And it grows on you when you see someone like me that speaks so unequivocally about, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not going there. No, I'm not touching that. You want to invite me? Thank you. I can't come. Why? I don't go to such places. I'm not going to say, oh no, listen, I'm too old for people pleasing. I don't give two F's. I don't care. What you think of me, it does not matter, right? And the more you grow, you realize that that is one of the attributes of the 1%. What you think of them does not register on their radar. But it registers on your radar. It does. What people think of you naturally registers on your radar. And you have to understand why. It is poverty. Because when you come up from poverty, you are too poor that you cannot afford to say no to people. You cannot afford to even be perceived as offensive, because there are consequences of for a poor person saying no. Consequences that only a certain level of, let me not say wealth, a certain level of comfort, a certain level of self-sufficiency should be able to insulate you from. You can't say no. And you've grown up with it. And some of you have even grown to the level where you're making a lot more money now than your parents were back then. But those things have been embedded in your subconscious mind such that you are losing at the game of life because you're still a people pleaser. You're still a people pleaser. You're still leaking energy. You're still at a place where you don't, your tastes, you lost after the 1% lifestyle, but you don't have the tastes. Everybody still invites you and you're able to go everywhere. You're not energy sensitive. You don't have a strong curation of taste. Like, these are the jobs I can never touch. Whenever I mean, now I think everybody's on board now, but back when I first said, you cannot get rich as a graphic designer. Back when I first said it, of course, 90% of people that heard that shit were poor people, fucking poor people. And I said, listen, I pass you. I'm not posting for you to agree or disagree. I'm there as your teacher. If you don't want me to be your teacher, unfollow. I'm not here to sample opinions. I'm teaching you from where I'm standing. And by the grace of God, I try my best to break it down, right? But the majority of you, poor people, how can you say, I already know who your parents were? And I'm not like Jesus, just let me sympathize with you. Me, I'm like, I'll get even more disgusted, because I think that if you don't know something, you should be even more humble, all right? Either way, you've got to understand why that is and start to unwire those things. Okay, so last week I was talking about how even when you are getting into the game of life with higher consciousness, with a better understanding of how this game is played, the incumbents of the game, who play this game way better than you, they will test you. They will test you to see whether you belong. And the way you respond to these tests will determine how long you stay in the game or whether you stay there at all, all right? And so I was talking about when you come into such a place, all right, such an environment, and they ask, what do? And you open your mouth and just say something weak, like whatever you're going to say should be rehearsed. Everything should be curated. Everything should be intentional. Everything about you should be deliberate. You shouldn't be, there's this thing that and let me be a bit delicate here, because I understand it may not be your fault, right? It's your upbringing. There's this thing that people do where, what do you do? And you start, it's just. You serious? Are you ready? Are you ready to play this game? Or are you still going to be playing the game? Yeah? With all due respect, though, I think it's mostly under 25s that do that. I think when you get a bit older, maturity just weeds some of those things out of you. But so, what do you do? It's just no. You got to rehearse it, all right? That's one. Two, like we said last week, everybody, they see these people cannot help themselves, all right? If you're a student of the game, you've got to also be a student of psychology. You've got to also be a student of human nature, all right? And so they are shit testing you. So they're trying to categorize you into 4 categories. If you miss this test, my darling, it will take you a lifetime to undo that branding. You will not get a second chance. I wish, there's always a second chance. No, I'm sorry. These guys, they tell you all sort of stories. And Disney also played a part in messing your brain up. Disney gave you all those fairy tales and gave you that warped perception of the world, so you don't really know the game. You will never get a second chance. Right? So you gotta practice that and understand that they're trying to put you in one of 4 categories. And I said that last week. Number 1, a name to be forgotten. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm into things like if you are going to engage in this game, once you introduce yourself as a low-level hired hand, your perception is off. Your fantasy, again, all right? Your fantasy is that somebody would hear what you do and want to patronize you. And that is how they taught you networking all over Lagos. So they taught you how to network like a peasant, right? Oh, networking, give us your card, and you put that rubbish in your card. Oh, what do you do? I supply small chops. Jesus. Nah, don't do it, all right? So, and who knows, you might get business, but that'll be all you're going to get. So they're trying to categorize you into 4 categories. 1, what I call it, the name to be forgotten. 2, a person to be used. 3, a power to be aligned with. And 4, what's the 4th one? A force to be submitted to. Those are the 4, all right? And again, like I said, they don't know they're doing it. People don't know that they're doing it. It's all subconscious, all right? Wait, hold on. Something I wanted to talk about. I wrote my notes. Just came to me now. I'm writing the word Machiavelli here. I was just talking about Machiavelli. Some of you don't know about Machiavelli. For those of you that idolize him, I'm just writing it on my notes here. So hopefully I don't forget it. Right? So they're trying to categorize you. So if you're at that point where you're still at that level, you supply small chops and all that, no, go back home. I mean, not go back home. I'm just saying, like, before you leave, you've got to think about it very well. All right? At such a high level event, there's a way to explain it. Listen, this is why I don't want to so how are you doing? This is why I don't want to put my stuff out there. Peasants of this world, we take these lessons and abuse it. All right? I'm not trying to make you out to be a liar. I don't want you to go lie and all, but you have to be very intentional about the wording of what you do. However, I told you that you have to actually put in the work. All right? And then I'm going to read the WhatsApp message and I will explain those things. But you have to put in the work. I told you, you need to go and do a master's, you need to go and rework your network, create those strong portfolios. Okay, but in the meantime, there are better ways to explain it. And please take what I'm saying very carefully. Sometimes you will need to slightly exaggerate. This is why I don't put my replays out. The bastards of this world don't understand what I'm saying. All right? Sometimes slight exaggerations might be necessary. All right? So instead of you say, I am into small chops. Small chops is the same thing as FMCG. Yes. FMCG, fast moving consumer goods. Tell me they're not the same thing. Tell me they're not the same thing. But I think it's so small. Yes, you are into FMCG. You are running an FMCG startup. And for now, you are into the manufacturing of baked goods. It's the same thing as small chops, but worded differently. I am saying that this is why we don't put the place outside. I am trusting you to be responsible with this information. It's not lying, it's intelligence. Amen? And you have to do the past too. While you are now doing, why people laughing? You want to abuse this thing, Abby? You want to abuse this thing. I can see it from you, you now look left. So, it's the same thing, all right? Meanwhile, go and be working on actually becoming an FMCG. Go and be working on it. You know, if they ask you questions that are revealing, like, okay, do you have an FMCG license? Or what, how are you able to, so they'll test you, like, FMCG, really? How are you able to get around this NAFDAC certification? You know, I hear that it's very difficult to get and expensive, you know, lie, they're trying to test you. You tell them, I totally understand, the compliance can be pretty challenging. Ours is currently under review, but we have a specialist working on that for us right now. I know it's not the entire truth. Go back and work on it. See, my dear, this is not church. I'm telling you how the world operates. This is why I cannot start church, because I actually like talk true. In church, we have to use agenda. We have to use agenda and make you harmless as doves. We can't teach the calling of the serpents that the people out there are using. So they are better armed. They are using guns and assault rifles. They are using bow and arrow. I know, I have to just tell them how I'm doing it. It's just small jobs I'm doing. It's just small jobs, so help us. Help our business. No, it's not small jobs. It's FMCG, right? Or you can say we have just taken a stake in the food and beverages sector. That's the same thing. Food and beverages, that's the same thing. So I'm saying, you understand? If you go and put your Chiamaka and Sons Limited, something, you're just going to put yourself out there and be so plain. All right? Which other examples, right? I give some examples. The other day, I think I used graphic design, I use graphics, I use web, anything that's connected to graphics, web, you know, all these services that enable the internet to function, like graphic design, web design, video editing, all right? Combine everything and say you run one of the fastest growing creative agencies in the city. Is it a lie? Are you not growing? Are you not growing fast? You are one of the fastest, not the fastest. So on the list of the fastest, nobody will ask you whether you're number 3 or number 1,000 of the fastest growing. You see one of the fastest growing, you're on that list somewhere. Yes, we run Neo, let me know somebody's name, Ibube. You know, that name will slap. Which name should I use? You put putting Neotech in the comments. You are still not forgiving me for last week, Abby. Neotech, people that do Neotech, they carried a grudge against me from last week because I was using Neotech as examples last week. There's no nothing Neotech do you today. Well, somebody has to collect a sub every Saturday. Yeah. Say maybe Clinton. Say Clinton. See, there's this thing. Hey. See, let me do a quick workshop. Let me do a quick workshop for you guys. So this is not in the main thing. See, what I want to really do is I want to read the WhatsApp message I sent you just before this broadcast. All right, if you're on the WhatsApp channel, go and check the WhatsApp message I sent you guys just before this message, the one about branding sorcery. Right, that's the main meat of today's conversation. I'll go into it, but let me do a quick exercise for you. Quickly, you'll see something. So I'll give you an update. That wallahi, you will never see it in any book. Nobody will put it in a book. At all these speaking events all over Lagos, nobody will say this particular thing that they do. All right, okay, but you learn it here for free. Just listen now. Let me share my screen and we'll do a quick exercise. Have you invited people? Because I don't sit down now, you will have forgotten. I'll just say to you in a bigger stone. Everybody must collect in some shape or form. Everybody gotta collect. Okay, so this is I'm about to do. I've never done it before on ChatGPT, but I'll just show you guys some good stuff. Okay, let me just voice mode. Hey, so there's this thing I noticed in Nigeria, a few East African countries, Southern Africa, and in the West as well, where a person starts a consulting company and uses two names that have nothing to do with the founder, but sound like the company was created by two Caucasian partners. Is this a real thing? And if not, just consider it a real thing now. And I want you to give me examples of where this occurs and how it can be used as a naming strategy for people trying to tap into the same effect. Okay, I'm just freestyling because I know what this is. I don't know if ChatGPT knows what this is, but I know what this is. I've seen this stuff out there. All right. So some people do something like, wait, let me just hit go. Let's see whether ChatGPT will tell us true or not. Just watch. So this game is layers deep. So it's usually something and something. All right. So I'm checking whether this is an actual branding pattern, a real world example. It is a real thing. Don't lie to me. Check. Don't gaslight me. This is going to be using this thing. This is not a normal ChatGPT user. Don't try me. Me alone, I'm a whole consulting company. I'm a whole research company on my own. My brain alone is a research company. Thou canst not gaslight me. Oh yeah, check. Extended thinking. It says, while hard proof of intent is real. Of course, don't be proof, but they know what they're doing. Just give me the thing. The second time, maybe I should ask Claude at the same time. Let's see which one will talk true. It's searching popular websites, but none of these websites will tell you what they're doing. So I don't know why it's running through the internet. Anyway, let's be patient and wait for the answer it's going to give us. See, while this guy is Miziani, let me just copy this, and I'm going to ask Claude in the meantime and compare the answers, because this guy will not gaslight me. I know what I know. I can't prove it, but I know what I know. See, Claude, oh my God, Claude answered me quick. I beg, try to figure out. Claude answered me quick. There we go. I'm using the latest Opus 4.6. All right, so let me go through the prompt again. All right, Claude, give me the answer real quick. So here's the thing I asked you. I said, hey, so there's this thing I noticed in Nigeria, a few Eastern African countries, Southern Africa, and the West as well, where a person starts a consulting company and uses two names that have nothing to do with the founder, but sound like the company was created by two Caucasian partners. Is this a real thing? And if not, just consider it a real thing now. I will not be gaslighted. And I want you to give me examples of where this occurs and how it can be used as a naming strategy for people trying to tap into the same effect. The answer says you're touching on something very real and widely practiced across African business environments. It's just rarely named. See, I said it is rarely named or discussed openly. Let me break it down. The pattern is real. You don't have to tell me, I already know it's real. Across Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, and beyond, you'll find consulting firms, law practices, accounting firms, and creative agencies with names like Baker and Thornton, Michelle Hughes Associates, Crawford and Whitfield, or Hartley Simmons Group, founded and fully operated by African professionals with zero connection to anyone named Baker, Thornton, or otherwise. 49. The names are deliberately chosen to evoke the naming conventions of legacy Western professional services firms. Why it works and why people do it. The strategy draws on a few layered dynamics. First, there's the inherited trust architecture from colonialism. Across much, let me zoom in a little bit. Right? Across much of Africa, institutional credibility was built by British, French, and to some extent, American firms. The big four accounting firms, the Magic Circle law firms, McKinsey, Bain, these set the template for what a serious professional services firm looks and sounds like. A double-barreled Anglo-Saxon name signals that you belong in that tier, even if you are a solo operator in Lekki. Or Westlands. Westlands is the place in Kenya. Second, it functions as a filtering mechanism for a specific client base. I'm teaching you guys bad thing. Do not misuse it. So it says, I'll go on. It says, if you're targeting multinationals, government parastatals, dealing with international partners, or high net worth individuals who move between Lagos and London, the name does pre-qualification work before anyone picks up the phone. It says we operate at your level in a language the client already trusts. Third, it sidesteps ethnic and regional bias. In Nigeria especially, a firm name that's ethnically identifiable, Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, can trigger assumptions about who the firm serves or where its loyalties lie. A neutral Anglo name bypasses all of that. It's not Okonkwo and Partners or Abubakar Associates. It is Greystone and Caldwell. And suddenly the firm belongs to no tribe and every boardroom. Where you see this most, the pattern is heaviest in management consulting, financial advisory, PR and communications firms, architecture and interior design studios, recruitment and HR consulting, and real estate development companies. Basically anywhere the client is paying for perceived sophistication and institutional weight, not a commodity product. How to use this as a naming strategy. If someone wants to deploy this approach deliberately, here's the framework. Pick two surnames that are Anglo-Saxon or British IELTS in origin. Think syllable patterns like Whitfield, Hargrove, Caldwell, Pemberton, Ashford. Avoid names that are too obviously famous. No Morgan Stanley knockoffs or too common. No Smith and Jones. The sweet spot is names that sound like they could be real founding partners of a mid-tier London or New York firm in the 1970s. Call this up to Yahoo. Then pair them with a suffix that signals the type of firm that you are and associates, group, partners, advisory, capital, consulting. The combination should feel like it's been around for 30 years, even if you just registered it last Tuesday. Claude is a criminal. Claude, you are a criminal. I'm officially calling you and accusing you of being a criminal. Claude, I'm accusing you eyeball to eyeball. All right, some constructed examples that follow the pattern. Ashford and Mercer, Consulting, Pemberton Hill Group, Caldwell Briggs Advisory, Whitfield and Drake Partners, Hargrove Sinclair Associates. The tension worth acknowledging. This strategy works precisely because the credibility gap it exploits is real. It's a pragmatic response to a market that still, in many sectors, defaults to Western coded signals as proxies for competence. Some people see it as savvy positioning, others see it as reinforcing the very hierarchy it's trying to navigate. Both readings are valid. The most sophisticated version of this play is to use the Anglo name to get in the door, then build a reputation so strong that the name becomes irrelevant or even becomes its own brand signal disconnected from its origins. At that point, Caldwell Briggs doesn't mean white founders. It means that firm that delivers. That's the real game. Using the borrowed signal long enough to build your own. If you learn something, shout it, believe in amen. Alright, ChatGPT just woke up now, but where do you go? We need it from Claude. Alright? If you learn something, shout it, believe in amen. I say, cannot let this anywhere in the world. We'll never tell you. They use it, but we'll never tell you. It works. Alright? It works. Nigerians use it, but it's usually Nigerians that have that kind of, usually they are people who are foreign educated, like they would have slipped it in somewhere in maybe an American or British business school. Then they come here, you have the Nigerian, his name is Okonkwo, his name is Oluwadare. He will create Pemberton and Associates. Now that nigga is Kule. that thing is run by a guy named Kule. Yeah? And his cousin named Abosede. You understand? You know, so anyway, I was just trying to go deep into something that, you know, a lot of you might not see coming. And like I said, you are like someone going into the Hunger Games. You're going into battle with bows and arrows, and you don't understand the psychological assault rifle that everyone else is coming into the game with. I just showed you that to add more fuel, right? To what I was saying, that introduction matters. And even the people you are meeting in that room, they too are doing it. Right? There's this woman, I think she's one of the few female billionaires, self-made, one of the few female self-made billionaires in the world. And I'm saying self-made because when you look at the list, most of the women on that list made their billions either through divorce or inheritance from the dad. So there are very few self-made. And one woman that stands out there, I don't know if she's still a billionaire because she donated a lot of the money to charity, but one woman that stands out there is J.K. Rowling, right? She was just an author who wrote the book Harry Potter, but the story blew up so much into movies, franchises, and all of that, it made her a billionaire. There's some part of J.K. Rowling's story at the beginning. Now, she wrote a book about Harry Potter. I forgot what her real name is, what the full meaning of JK is. I forgot what it is. But her publisher told her, listen, let's be pragmatic here. Let's be real. Okay? Plain psychology. There's nothing feminist about this conversation. We're trying to blow you up. They told her, you are a woman that is writing about a young boy's experience. Because Harry Potter was about a young boy. Harry Potter. Nobody's going to buy your book as a woman writing, because they feel like, who are you as a woman to know what a young boy is going to go through? You know? So they're not going to buy your book. Can we downplay your gender? I mean, the story is valid and all, but can we downplay your gender? So instead of putting out your full name on the book, let's use your initials. Can somebody quickly Google her full name? JK, what JK really stands for? Can somebody pick it up, all right? So they said if we put your full name on the book, they'll see the name of a woman writing about a young boy's experience, his challenges and everything, and how he comes up. Say her name is what, Joanne? Okay. Joanne Kathleen. Okay, thank you. Let me assume you're right. All right. So imagine your name on the book, Joanne Kathleen Rowling, as author of the book called Harry Potter. They told her, listen, nobody's going to take your word. Women are good authors, yes, but there's a way they're expected to write. They write romance novels, all right, like 50 Shades of Grey, written by a woman, right? So they write romance novels and about fantasies and all those things, right? And you know, whatever it is they write about. But you writing about a young boy, it's not going to fly. Let us hide your full name, and let us use just your initials. People are going to assume J.K. Rowling is a man. We're not going to say you're a man, but we'll just count on their assumption. They will not cross-check. She said, okay. So, and let me not lie to you. When I first saw the book Harry Potter, I thought for the longest time, I thought J.K. Rowling was a man. I kid you not. for the longest time I thought, and see, Shevona is another young man saying the same thing. Said I didn't know a woman for a long time. I was surprised to know. So she was able to successfully, I'm doing this in a nice way, okay, not pejoratively. She was able to successfully scan a lot of young boys. I was still very young boy when the book came out. She was able to scam a lot of young boys into thinking that a man wrote it, and because we believe that only a man would understand our struggles and what is wrote as a young boy. So we thought that J.K. Rowling was a man for the longest time. So people bought the book. The book blew up. It went all over the world. It went mega. They made movies about it. After she had made her billions, we now realized that woman. But by then, we had already fallen in love with the story and it was too late. Someone just find out that J.K. Rowling is a woman. Can you imagine? J.K. Rowling, we don't play with her. We are in love with J.K. Rowling. Like anybody who loves Harry Potter series is in love with J.K. Rowling. We love J.K. Rowling. Nothing. They tried to cancel her at one point, but now she's uncancelable. Yeah, she said some things about transgenders and stuff, and the transgenders tried to cancel her. You cannot cancel our auntie J.K. Rowling, right? But anyway, we thought she was a man for the longest time. But by the time we realized she was a woman, forget the story had already gone viral. We had loved the story. Part 1 to I think 7 or so. People were watching the movies. The last time I was in Dubai, I was in a bookstore and they were selling bookmarks. You know what a bookmark is? That little kind of marker you used to put in a book to know where you stopped. That's the original bookmark, the physical bookmark before it became digital, right? So the selling bookmark, that bookmark that was branded Harry Potter. So there was Gryffindor, Slytherin, and on the other house, Hufflepuff and Co, right? And I bought that. I never used it this day because of my emotional attachment to the Harry Potter world. I just bought it just to have a paraphernalia. That's really how viral the thing went, right? And she probably would not have been able to pull that off if she was not reliably advised about being realistic about what it would take to penetrate people's consciousness. Like I always tell you guys, humans can't help themselves. Humans are judgmental. They will lie. Liar. You are a liar, and it's okay. I won't say you're a liar. I'll just say you're not really that self-aware. You don't know yourself that well, so that even you would judge me. Like when Jesus Christ told Peter, before the cock rose 3 times, you will deny me. But I said, no, I'm not doing it. Master, oh, relax. I know you'll do it. It's okay, I'll pray for you. No, what Peter lying? No, he was just not sufficiently self-aware to know that part of his human nature was still alive and would manifest at some point. It happens. It's a human thing. That's fine. It's just left for you as a higher student of the game of life to know this, learn this, and write your own strategy to preempt that. That's just the game. Anyway, that's it about J.K. Rowling. Another example popped to my mind while I was saying this. Somebody should please ask. Okay, let me ask ChatGPT. There's another one. Let me open a new ChatGPT window. Hoping that ChatGPT will tell me the truth this time. Let me share my screen real quick. There's another place it happened also. Okay, hope my screen is visible. All right. So there's this story that happened in the news a couple of years ago. I don't remember the specifics, so please do your research and search this out for me. It's about 2 guys who published a book, I think, using a woman's name because they realized that only women were getting nominated for prizes in that category. So they wrote a book under a woman's name and they got nominated, and it was a spectacle when they actually showed up to receive their prize as men. Please find that story for me. So I'm trying to teach you guys how to do research independently. Let me turn off extended thinking a bit so it does not waste my time. And at the same time, let me ask my brother Claude, because Claude answered me sharp. Let me open a new chat and dump it there and see what Claude's gonna say. He's still digging. Claude has found it too. Well, I see Claude is giving us more into Slap ChatGPT. So here's my prompt I put in here, right? So there was this story that happened in the news a couple of years ago. I don't remember specifics, so please search this out for me. Right, about 2 guys published a book, I think, using a woman's name because they realized that women have won prizes. So I said, well, in that category, only women were being awarded prizes in that category. So they wrote a book under a woman's name and they got nominated, and it was a spectacle when they actually received their prize as men. Yeah, it says found it. This is the Carmen Mola story from October 2021. 3 Spanish television script writers, Jorge, that's how I pronounce him, Jorge Diaz, Austin Martinez, and Antonio Mercero, had been writing together under the pseudonym Carmen Mola for about 4 years. They built an entire fictional persona around this name. Mola was described as a university professor in her mid-40s living in Madrid with her husband and 3 children, who supposedly used a pseudonym to keep her literary life separate from her personal one. There was even a photo on the literary agency's website showing a woman in a trench coat shot from behind. The big reveal came when their historical thriller, The Beast, won Spain's Planeta Prize worth €1 million. That's about $1.4 million at a ceremony in Barcelona in October 15th, 2021. The audience was stunned when 3 men walked up to the podium instead of a woman. There was an extra layer of absurdity. They originally submitted The Beast, like the book was called The Beast. They originally submitted The Beast for the prize under yet another pseudonym, Sergio Lopez. So it was 3 men pretending to be a woman. So it was 3 men pretending to be a woman, pretending to be a man. The reaction was split. Some found it fascinating, others were outraged. Canadian author Susan Swan called it a scam and suggested they donate the prize money and I'm going to chop ham to something like the Women's Prize for Fiction. Meanwhile, Margaret Atwood called it a great publicity stunt and wasn't particularly bothered. The 3 men denied that choosing a female name was calculated. Diaz told El Mundo, that is the newspaper, they could have easily used R2D2, that's Red Dead Redemption, as their pen name. It's a wild story and it cuts both ways as a commentary on publishing identity and how much the author's persona drives perception of their world. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving you a quick crash course on something you can live 1,000 lifetimes and never know. There are levels to this game of perception that only people with the most sophisticated elite education would know. Right? Just out there doing Okonkwo and Sons. Yeah, you might succeed with Okonkwo and Sons. She works, but you want to understand the whole game and then choose your options carefully. Right? Choosing your options carefully. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of questions, but there's some questions that I'm seeing that you can really figure out by yourself. I don't think it's necessary. What about Dangote? Use your brain and you figure it out. If you really use your brain, you'll figure out that answer for yourself. I'm not going to slow us down to answering that. Okay, so I just gave you guys 2 separate examples that are just, and they're real life, not hypothetical, right? They're real life examples about how human beings, the human animal, we are slaves to perception, all right? And the reason a lot of us get into trouble is that we try to elevate the human animal into some kind of higher being that is not real. That being you are trying to describe is maybe an extraterrestrial or an angel. Human beings are at their basest levels animals. The only thing that separates us from them, small, is civilization. And oftentimes, civilization has to be enforced with consequences, all right? So, that's just it. Anyway, what I was trying to say is a lot of thought has to go into how you present yourself to the world. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of what I'm saying to you is not high-sounding knowledge. I'm not saying something that is so fantastic, all right? Among my actual peers, what I'm saying is just normal. It's not Rema or anything. It is only Rema, so-called Rema, or high knowledge to you because of where you come from, your background. You understand me? All right. A lot goes into that background. All right. So when I say that an identity transplant is the first call. Last week I told you guys to read a book. There's a book I asked you guys to read. I think I offered two. One book I offered was I told you guys to read was Psychocybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. All right. For those of you who are in your later stages in life trying to undergo a reinvention, it should first come from spirit, mind, soul. It should be a mind and identity transplant.